Francie. Good evening, Escondido. Now, all right, Gavin's here. All right, I got to clear up one quick thing. We didn't coordinate our attire. It just random coincidence kind of ended up that way. But we are here for the same cause tonight, and that's supporting a tremendous woman who's going to be a great leader in the city. And it's just exciting to be here, to see what's happening, to have seen all the way through the campaign. And you know, Olga's in a tough race. I know something about being in tough races. Olga wants to be the mayor. I also happen to know something about wanting to be a mayor. The difference is she's going to do it. You know, in politics, there's a lot of powerful emotions that people use. And unfortunately, what Escondido has seen a lot of in the last few years is the emotion of fear and divisiveness, of dividing one community against another, of thriving on your anger and your hatred and your fears. And that works sometimes, because that's a powerful emotion. But that's also the emotion of the past. That's the emotion of the politics of the last decade that has wrecked our system. But there's another emotion that works even better, and that's one of hope. And that's one of promise, and that's one of the future. And that's what Olga Diaz stands for tonight. She stands for the future of Escondido. A city that can bring its residents together, that can understand we are all in this together. And she is the future, not only the future mayor, but she's a future leader, and she will do so much. And Olga, we're so proud and we're so honored to be here to support you tonight. So, I believe in Olga Diaz. I know she'll be a great mayor. Now, we're fortunate in that we have someone who's already been a great mayor, who's here tonight to also support Olga. And you know, we talk in politics a lot. People talk about leadership, and you know what this means. Oh, they're a great leader, and they're a great leader. But the reality is if you step back and you think about it, what you get in politics a lot is followers. Right? You get elected officials who won't dare take a position that isn't supported by 60% of the public already. A lot of them will very candidly say, oh, I can't, my consultants told me don't do that. That doesn't poll very well. And that's what we've seen in so much of our politics today, as they prey on it. And so I have tremendous respect for my friend Gavin Newsom, because he has, throughout his political career, been a leader who's willing to actually lead. I spent 10 years in the Marine Corps, and we always said the first one through the wall gets the bloodiest. Because you got to hit that wall and you got to break through it. And then you make a hole. And then the next person through, well, it's a little bit easier for him. The next person through, it's a little bit easier for him. And pretty soon you can walk through that hole and it doesn't hurt you at all. And most leaders are the type that want it to be no opposition. Everyone accepts it. And I was reminded, he spoke at my class today at UCSD to my students. And I told him the story of whatever you may feel about the issue. But in 2004, Gavin Newsom stepped forward and said, I support marriage equality because I believe it's the right thing to do. And there wasn't anyone running through that wall with him. He went through it himself. You think about 4 years later, the voters of California had an initiative where Gavin's own words in support of doing what he believed was the right thing were used in the campaign against him. And California went the other way. They went the other way. But here we are a few years later, and you see the tide of public opinion has changed. And there are very few leaders in politics today that said, I will take on a losing issue, a controversial issue, an issue where many of my own party won't even support me, because I believe it is morally right, and I'll go out and move public opinion. And Gavin, you've done that on so many issues, and we owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude for your leadership. So much of what every major city has issues with homelessness. And Gavin pushed a change in homelessness. He said, we're not going to give you cash. We're going to give you care. We're going to give you treatment. Tremendous protest. Huge. When he was sworn in and inaugurated as mayor, they had sharpshooters on the roof because he had death threats facing him. But it was the right thing to do. And today, over 200 cities have now adopted that same model for how they deal with their homeless issue. Universal preschool, after-school care, time and time again. He's done that. But the issue that I think he is right on and ahead of public opinion, and certainly ahead of politics today, is this notion of reinventing government. Not reforming it, but transforming it. The notion of embracing the knowledge-based economy, the innovative-based sectors, because that is the future. And so when you listen to the things that Gavin Newsom says today, or anytime you hear him talk, know that 5 or 6 or 7 years you'll hear every politician pretty much saying the exact same things. It's rare that we have a leader, a former mayor, our lieutenant governor, someone who is also the future of California. Please give a big Escondido welcome to Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom.
That's just too much damn hype. I'm Irish, after all. We're naturally insecure. All that praise. Try to live up to that. Great to see you guys. This brings back so many memories. I love mayor's races. But Olga, trust me, 26 days out, I'd be lucky to get 26 people to show up at an event. They were exhausted. They had had enough of it. So by that indication, you're going to just be fine on election day. This is amazing turnout. So thank you. You know, I'm one of those people, probably like most of you, I get so damn frustrated watching the news. What's going on in Washington, D.C., everyone's focused on who's to blame, so few people are focusing on what to do. Someone said the other day, a pundit says, Washington, D.C. is a place where ideas go to die. And there was no one that was protesting that sentiment. But here we are in Escondido. Here we are in a small community in an extraordinary county and the most extraordinary state anywhere in the world, and remarkable things are happening. You know, there's an old saw that says, if you don't like the way the world looks when you're standing up, stand on your head and go local. Remarkable things are happening at the local level. I'm one of those guys. I have opportunities as lieutenant governor to travel all up and down the state, all 58 counties, and meet folks. And I really believe this. I remember my father used to say this when I was a kid. He said, son, there is not a problem that exists in the world today that hasn't been solved by somebody somewhere. And I never know what the heck he meant. I thought he was wildly exaggerating. I said, there's so many problems in the world that can't be true. But I've had the opportunity the last 3 years to travel up and down the state. I kid you not. You'd be hard-pressed to throw out any problem where I could not, or you could not, chime in and say, well, there's a small little after-school program in Escondido. It's unbelievable. If we can just scale that, we can reduce violence and truancy. We can reduce dropout rates. Incredible things are happening at the local level. And it's a long way of saying why I'm here. Because there's no more powerful demonstration of ideas than at that local level. States are laboratories of democracy, but cities are truly laboratories of innovation. Extraordinary things are happening all across the country at the local level. You're seeing it on issues like the minimum wage. Folks are not waiting around for Washington, D.C. You're seeing it on the issues of climate change. Mayors coming together across their differences, Democrats and Republicans doing their own local, global climate action plans. People that want to address the issue of income inequality and address the growing gap between the haves and the have-nots, that recognize the importance of paid sick leave, that recognize the importance of child care, recognize the importance of preschool programs Nathan was talking about, or after-school programs, solving the problem at the local level, not waiting for the state of California, not waiting for Washington, D.C. Across the spectrum of issues, remarkable ideas are being promulgated at the local level. Mayors matter. And all I can say is, it's true. You get that. That's why you're here. I mean, you all love Olga. What's not to love? Her mother, her brother. I've met 7 of her best friends. At least that's how they describe themselves. I am her best friend. I am her #1 supporter. I said, oh, yes. Someone had turned around and said, I'm the #1 supporter. But you're also here because you believe, as Nathan does, in the idealism of leadership. And you are desperate for it. And you know she gets it, and you know she can get it done. And it's an amazing thing. There's a book out there I recommend any of you read. It's a former mayor. I was on my bestseller list called If Mayors Ruled the World. And it's a wonderful book because it makes the point, and Olga, you get this, and you're going to understand this very quickly when you're mayor, that no one cares about a Democratic proposal to clean up the streets. No one cares about the Republican idea to get rid of graffiti. At the local level, you just want your mayor to get things done. You're not tribal. There's a hard-headed pragmatism to local government. People just want you to get things done. And at the end of the day, isn't that fundamentally what we so desperately need? And so there's I just think that's something that needs to be amplified at state level, and certainly needs to be amplified in Washington, D.C. It's something to think about. And finally, before I ask you to come up, success leaves clues. Business people in this room, you understand that intimately. Success leaves clues. And that means there's a lot at stake here. Because Olga's success, your success in this community, has an impact well beyond the borders of this town. Impacts the rest of the county, which in turn impacts the state, and as California goes, the rest of the nation. Success leaves clues. I'm here because I like Olga's values. I like her idealism. But I also like that hard-headed pragmatism that defines what all of you have told me about her for years and years. She is tough. She doesn't suffer fools. If no one's willing to speak up, she's the first one in line. She's that person Nathan was talking about that's going to break through that wall and open up that hole for everybody else. She's inspirational. And she recognizes that her fate's tied to the fate of all of you, that we're all in this together, and that we're all better off when we're all better off. And she's going to fight for it. That's why a kid from a small suburb of Escondido, San Francisco, comes down here tonight. Because her work, your work, success that we're looking forward to, and her successful terms as mayor, they're going to impact us all up and down the state. So with that in mind, let me ask Olga to come on up. And let me just say this, that you've got a reputation that transcends. And I'll be honest with you, I think you're going to win, and everyone here thinks you're going to win. But as I told Nathan, God's delays, I'm a good Jesuit. They taught me this at Santa Clara. God's delays are not God's denials. And no matter what happens, Olga, for you, the best is yet to come. So ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause. As far as a man, and here's to a successful 26 days, and here's to a successful 4+ years as your next mayor.
Stand here.
So it's hard to follow those two.
You can do it.
My friend Lorena Gonzalez just got here. Thank you so much, Lorena, for being here. The first person I need to thank is my husband, Neil, for all the things I get up into. And sometimes he says, "Are you sure we're doing that?" And I would say, "Yes, let's go." And thank you so much for your patience and your support. And there are a lot of things I couldn't have done without you. I also want to thank my parents for being here. My mom, my dad, my brother, my children. And all of our friends and family. So many of you are dear friends, and you've been on this journey to save Escondido with me for some years. and others are visiting from different parts of the county, and I want to welcome you to my beautiful city and showcase this amazing resource that is the museum at the California Center for the Arts Escondido. And Gavin and Nathan both, this is what Escondido is. These people, these beautiful places, and all the sentiments that you expressed, we carry and we hold in our hearts, and that's what we're going to teach you. I also want to confess now, and you may want to get an opportunity to take pictures, that my dream presidential ticket is a Newsom Fletcher ticket. So I'm just saying, when I'm old never. So that is and I got pictures with both of them, so I recommend you do the same. So Escondido has seen some turmoil over the years. In fact, when I moved here a dozen years ago, I thought it was a charming town. It was like my hometown, Salinas, lettuce capital of the world and home of John Steinbeck. And I moved here and I opened a business, and I was happily bopping along my life thinking that this was the best place with the best weather that I could ever live. And some years later, I encountered the ugliness of politics in this community. And it shocked me because I had no idea that I had moved to a place that could be this sad and this lonely for so many people in the community. I have a degree in accounting from Santa Clara University, the same place that Gavin went. What I learned from the Jesuits, confidence, conscience, and compassion. Yeah. That's the school motto, and I live that every day. And Jerry Brown was a Jesuit too, right?
Right.
So
Santa Clara as well.
They're making an impact on the world here. But I carry those values, and I carried them into business, I carry them in life. And when it came time to take action, when there was some really ugly, terrible local politics going on in the city, and I looked around and for the first time realized that I didn't even know what a city council was. Who are these people, and why do they have so much power over our daily lives? And I looked around, okay, who do I vote for? Because I'd always been a good voter, but I'd never seen myself as a candidate. And what I learned through all these years in politics now is that typically women don't see themselves as candidates. I'm the only woman on the city council right now, and we're going to change that when Consuelo gets elected. And studies show that women have to repeatedly be asked to run. Men don't. Men see themselves in these leadership roles, and women always think, well, somebody else can do it, I'll just be supportive. So you have to ask a woman 7 times, but you only have to piss her off once. That's what happened. That's how I was introduced to politics the hard way. I had to learn from Francine, who was running for Congress, what a precinct was, and phone banking and the FPPC, and I didn't even know when I moved to this town that we were heavily outnumbered by Republicans to Democrats. In fact, we still have 10,000 more of those than we have Democrats. And I go, oh my gosh, where's my base, and how am I going to pull this off? Because Escondido doesn't need me, Escondido needs change, and it just so happened that I felt like I had to do it. I was compelled to push, to fix, to revitalize the city. The best thing about this city are people. The worst thing about the city are the politicians. So as soon as we fix that, not me, well, me too, I suppose. So here I am, all these years later, what have I learned? I've learned that it matters that I take a stand, that when I vote alone, that when I ask questions, that when I push back because it's the right thing to do, that is my role here. And that has been my role since the first day I set foot in city council. Since the first day I got elected, I became how many things? The first Latina in the history of the city. The first, still not first, but the only Democrat in a long time. We have Jerry Harmon here. Jerry, where are you? Raise your hand. Jerry was the first. Currently the only environmentalist, the only feminist. There's a lot of onlys, and it's a lonely place to be. But it's important. Because I had advice when I first got elected. When I first got elected, a good friend told me, Olga, be the same person you are coming out of that building that you were going into it. And I think of that every time I walk into City Hall, every time I know there's going to be a fight, and my stomach's in knots, and I know what I have to do, and I know that I'm going to lose, but I'm going to fight, all the way to the end, because I'm educating the public, I'm taking a stand for what matters, and hopefully I'm inspiring a pipeline of future leaders in this community, because someday I will want to retire. that is the very real work that has to get done. So at City Hall, I might be alone. But as soon as that council chamber opens up and the public walks in, I'm not alone. We outnumber them. And that's what we're doing through this election process. Some things are interesting to me and not to others. I love budgets. I just love budgets. I memorize the budget document. I want everybody to understand how those things work. I want civic engagement. I like asking questions. I actually read contracts before they, get voted on. I challenge the status quo, honestly, because nobody else is doing it, so I might as well follow through on that. And I embrace dialogue. I embrace debate, because somewhere between my idea and somebody else's idea is a better idea. And you only ever get there if you talk about it. So if I have to spend 6, 10, 12 hours in a council meeting, I'm okay. That's what I'm doing, because I'm doing good work. And I'm doing it right now kind of alone. Right? So what happens when November 4th comes and the polls close at 8 o'clock and we get our first results at 8:30? Party. So you can say all of this work will pay off, and Consuelo would be elected to the city council, which is a critical race, and I'm elected to the mayor's seat, and we've done a couple of remarkable things at that point. Made history again, because we're good at it, we just keep doing it. We've unseated 2 people that have not been very helpful to this community. In fact, this community moves on in spite of them. So suddenly we've tipped the scale and the city becomes balanced, and my seat, the seat that I hold now, becomes vacant. And you know what happens then?
Goes to another woman.
Hopefully a special election, and hopefully a third really good, smart, nice person that wants to do things right. We're talking about flipping the city within a few months. It might be too much to hope for, but that's why we work so hard, and that's what we're hoping for. Because business wants a place that is friendly and stable and productive. People want a place that is friendly and stable and productive, and there's quality of life concerns. And people and business need each other. And it's absolutely important that we be business friendly, but it's essential that we be people friendly. And that's what I want to move Escondido to. There's a solution to every problem. You heard Gavin say it. I totally believe that. A solution to every problem. But you have to want to try to solve the problems, not make them. So since I got elected, I can very happily say nothing I've ever said, done, or supported has caused the city to get sued. Right. And I'm the only council member who can say that. And after we clean up a few things, here's what I want to work on. A stable water supply. We need to finish Lake Wolford Dam. We need the money from that from the state, so this is good diplomacy, by the way. We want to finish the Citricado Parkway expansion so that the access to the new Palomar Hospital is quicker. We have some candidates for Palomar Hospital Board here today. We will work on that. I want skate parks all over town so that kids don't have to skate in grocery store parking lots and on tennis courts. Skate parks everywhere. Give kids something to do. I want to open a brand new library like San Diego has done. Our library expansion plans have been sitting on the shelf because they have not been prioritized, and that is going to be one of my biggest priorities. And returning the East Valley Branch Library, because no government should ever close a library. That would be ridiculous. And if I have to drive it myself, that bookmobile is going to be cruising the streets of the city, bringing services to kids and residents everywhere. I have a long, long list. I won't share all of it with you, but I have a long list I've been keeping for 6 years. It's been pent up of good things that I want to work on as soon as business is taken care of. And Consuelo and I get elected, and we're going to be working really hard for a very long time to fix some of the injustice that's happened in the city. So what should you feel tonight? First of all, you should just, this is the prettiest dress I've ever worn. And it's so different than what I wear every day, t-shirts, jeans, and tennis shoes to walk precincts, that this is the most glamour in politics I've ever had, and probably the last of it. So I just had to take this moment. The two most beautiful Democratic people here, and well, I can't let them outdo me. So I'm trying to compete. Right? So here we are. So what do we do after we leave here today? We realize that there are a lot of Democrats and progressives in North County, right? There are a lot. And we put on a very warm welcome and reception for Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom so that you will come back to this beautiful state. You're always welcome here. And we realize that we have 26 days to keep working really hard, and this is the pre-party, and then election night, there'll be another celebration at campaign headquarters, and I expect all of you to be there as well. I don't remember not living in this town. I live in a few places, but this is the place that I feel is my home. I love Escondido. I want to sleep in my own bed. I want to be happy in my town. I want it to be healthy and safe and thriving. And the only way that I could see to do that was to roll up my sleeves and try and make that happen. And I won't let you down. I'll work really hard. You may not always agree with me, but I'll always explain to you what position I've taken and why. You know that about me, and I'll be that way until I leave City Hall someday. That is my only promise I can make. So the call to action is that you vote. You're all good voters, I know you will. But then you call 10 people that you know in Escondido and get them to vote. Vote for me, vote for Consuelo, vote for Dara, for everybody who's running on our slate. Because the only way that we're going to change Escondido is to do it from the bottom up with the people. And that's what we're going to do. So don't leave me hanging. Make sure you show up. Make sure your friends, your family, your neighbors show up to vote. Because a year and a half, at this point 6 years of my life have been spent trying to build a pipeline of people who care about this town. Find you all, thread you all together, seniors, mobile home parks, environmental groups, women's groups, schools, nonprofits. I've put you all together like pearls on a strand. And it's been a lot of work, and I've been happy to do it. But I'm not doing it alone, I'm doing it with you. So please remember how important it is that we win this election. I hope you feel it in your heart the way that I do.